Okay. We'll start by you giving your name and where you're from, please.
My name is Beth. I'm Beth Wilkinson, and I'm from Cedar Falls, Iowa, and that's where I grew up at. I moved away, but I finished my degree at the University of Northern Iowa, and my degree is in art education from a family of teachers.
Where do you live now?
I live in Lawrence, Kansas.
Tell me about your illness.
Well, it's from a traumatic brain injury, and a TBI is what they call it. And in '86, I was out riding a horse with a friend of mine, and it was my English teacher's from high school, his horse, and we were still friends. And so it was just a friendly kind of thing. We were out riding horses, and the horse fell on me and put me in a coma for like over a week. And then when I came out of the coma, I wasn't very, I had to learn everything again, basically, so I grew up again. And that was about 20 years ago, when my son was 2 years old. So I've basically grown up with him again. I keep saying that, but it's been interesting having to learn everything.
What did you use to treat your condition? You said you had epilepsy.
That just
seizures?
started, like, I didn't have any seizures for years. I finished up my degree. I changed my major and finished up my degree and moved to Minnesota, and I started having seizures and blacking out in Minnesota. So I had to start seeing a neurologist there, and Kevin Reeves is who I saw up there, and he was real good. Put me on Dilantin for years, and it was pretty steady for quite a while. Moved back to Cedar Falls, and then I started having them like once, twice a year. And then when I moved to Kansas in like '98, I started having them 2 and 3 times monthly. And they were considered to be grand mals. They call them tonic chronics now, which are the unconsciousness, and you end up biting your tongue quite a bit, and it's really difficult to speak for a long time afterwards, and think for a long time afterwards also. So they did an implant, a VNS implant on me, which is a little motor that gives electrical shocks to your nerve system, because that's what basically epilepsy turns into, is like a nerve disorder. So they figure out where that's going to in your brain, and they hook up that little motor. It's kind of like a pacemaker, and it triggers off like once every like 3-4 seconds, or is it 30, something like that, but it goes for 3 or 4 seconds. And so if you hear my voice change or something like that, that's probably the little motor going off in my system. They've tried so many medications on me, and, you know, taken me off things, put me on things, and dozens. So I finally got to the point where I didn't want to take another one for migraines. So just from my experience in recreational kind of like use of like marijuana, I tried that for my migraines, and you know, that was the most functional, practical thing for me to do, because it didn't like make conflict with all the medication that I was on. And my doctor gave me is going to give me a waiver from her that she has approved of this. So that's what's in the process right now.
Okay. So you have found it effective for the treatment of your migraines. How about as far as with the seizures? Is it just too soon, or?
I think it does help with seizures, because the first time that I just had some little anything from like a brownie or anything like that, you could feel the sides of your brain that it like relaxes. And you know, I don't have anything in my system right now
So you feel it in the area of your head where the doctors say that has been affected by the...
I saw the x-rays, and I've seen it from when they were monitoring me and had all the EEGs in me, and it was the second time I had the monitoring. They were trying to see if they could do brain surgery on me. And so I've seen, and it came out to be that they said no, it was too complicated for them to do and too high risk for me. So, I didn't care for them anymore, and they were trying to increase my dosages and medication again. So I went to another neurologist that I had seen for a period of time. And
but whenever you're using cannabis, you feel it in that part of your head. You feel the effects that you think.
It's a lot smoother, and it's just like that there's not going to there's less fear. And that's what it finally becomes with any time that your system is getting switched around. You get scared that you're going to have a seizure, because that's what's happened, just less than a month ago in the library, and it's just awful. But you can feel it in the system where they have the nerve stimulator hooked up. You can feel that relaxation going on. And then in the two parts, the right and left side of my brain, I can feel that going on also. And I'm not much of a smoker, but when I've just done any kind of small dosages that's just gone through my throat or gone into my stomach or something like that, that has, I can feel it in that nerve area. So I think it's a lot more functional than any medication, because that does so many changes in your system.
Do you think if this would have been available to you earlier on, that possibly you wouldn't have had to go on full disability? Or?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. Perhaps. I might still be driving, because that's one of my restrictions, is that I cannot drive, and so that would be, I wouldn't have wrecked all my cars. I hate that.
I guess the disruption in your life is probably the one big factor, isn't it, for all that you've been through?
Yeah, it is, and it's embarrassing. I mean, embarrassing when you end up in the emergency room to the same nurse and doctor that you've seen numerous times, and they get on the phone with your neurologist in Kansas City, and nobody here in Lawrence will take me because of all my seizures, because they know they can't do anything. So they want me to get brain surgery, but I've been told I can't have it. So
tell me about the side effects of the prescriptions that you were taking.
The side effects are that I weigh about 40 pounds, 50 pounds more. I can't shake that weight off, even though I'm very active. And they're trying to, they dope you up and make you, less active. And you're not as much of a problem solver. I'm an educated person. I normally can, do my reading, do my, very functional kind of activities, but when you're on all that medication that they prescribe, you just cannot be as active, and it's frustrating.
How are your cognitive skills whenever you're using cannabis?
I think they're good. I mean, I think that really you can consider things a lot better, and you don't feel as frustrated. I think your thinking process isn't just a fear. And that's the biggest thing, that these medications come out, it's just fearful kind of effects that it has on.
So you would recommend the use of cannabis, at least to try it, for anyone who has epileptic seizure?
Yes, I would. I would, and that's coming from, someone who has been through so many prescriptions, so anti-seizural medicine, and this has just been the last step that I'm just saying, there has to be a better organic purpose than these medications that have been just all thrown together for me.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you.